Let's go over some basic safety before your first time stepping in and playing chase tag. There will be a lot of moving under obstacles, and I want to show you the best practices to get through and mitigate the risk of injury. Starting with some measurements of the obstacles, the sisters are 2 feet and 9 inches tall, and from one side to the other is 6 foot 2 inches wide. The front line has 2 taller benches, 3 feet and 2 inches tall, and the middle one is 2 feet 8 inches tall. And whenever you see these red boards, for the most part, they are generally 15 inches wide. This connector between the sled and the mountain table is 2 feet 10 inches tall. On the mountain, the ladder is 2 feet 11 inches tall, the ladder bar is 2 feet 6 inches tall, and the mountain bars are 2 feet 4 inches tall. If you are in a parkour program, you're probably familiar with the QM, which stands for quadrupedal movement, but if not, just think of it as crawling on all fours. For chase tag, you don't necessarily want to crawl head-on forward like a bear crawl. Your body should be more diagonal and sometimes even sideways as you QM under obstacles. Make sure to practice this style of crawling because it will come up a lot during chase tag. Now let's look at some of the timing and how to approach the obstacles. For the front line, you want to run up to the bench that you are going to QM under and time when you drop down until you are just about an arm's reach away from the obstacle. Remember, the boards are 15 inches wide, so make sure you push through all the way under and not stand up too early. Now what I definitely don't want to see is ducking your head way too early as you approach the obstacle because this causes misjudgment on when to QM and typically results in hitting your head or back. Depending on the speed and scenario, the way you QM under the sisters could vary slightly, but it's important to remember to keep your hips and head low and go all the way through both benches before standing up. The mountain table to sled connector should be treated the same as the front line. Remember, don't duck too early as you run into the QM. On the ladder, just be aware that the board is angled and how you approach the QM under will depend on the direction in which you're going through. For the ladder bar, be aware of your surroundings entering and exiting, that way your momentum doesn't crash you into other obstacles. For that bar and the mountain bar, just practice a low QM because it's just a bar, so there's not a lot of distance to clear horizontally, but vertically you need the mobility to be able to get low enough to clear under. I also do not recommend going under either of these bars forward, and definitely recommend more of a sideways movement. For the ridge bench, just make sure you're very spatially aware. It's easy to underestimate because it's much taller than all of the others, but it's also very common to misjudge the height and hit your head as you pass under. For taller athletes, I recommend getting comfortable using a safety tap on the ground with your hand just to make sure you clear underneath at high speeds. If your focus is on the chaser, you can use your hand and arm to stay aware of where the bench is. That way you can pass under safely without looking. And just like I continue to say, do not duck too early as you're running into the obstacle because you can easily misjudge the timing under. Take all of this information, watch the video over, and practice at home or at your local training facility. I hope the information is useful, and I look forward to seeing you on the quad.